Hey, Bayek, it's me, Ian. And in today's video, I'm going to look at this. This is Revenge from 1971. And it was sent to me, of course, by the wonderful Tony. Tony sent this, and I'm so grateful, and thank you so much for sending this. And I'm ever so pleased. I've watched this, and it's a real gem of a film from that era. Definitely, it's a dark film. The subject matter is very dark and bleak, but it's such a good film. It really is. Now, in America, it wasn't released till 1976, and given the title "Inn of the Frightened People," which is an interesting title as well. Yes, it's 89 minutes long. Rotten Tomatoes, well, they give it 20%. Not surprising that from that era, the snobbery of British critics is unbelievable. Now, of course, we see things in context, and we see how important these films were, especially in the context of the breakthrough in censorship. This has got the X certificate proudly on there, reflecting the more graphic and disturbing nature of these films, which is amazing that was happening at the time. I think also because in America, the same kind of films were also opening up in terms of the material being more explicit and darker. That's definitely a reflection of the times. This was written by John Cruz, who was involved in the ITC series The Saint of that period. And The Saint was massive in terms of British TV, starring the wonderful Roger Moore. Also, his just all career is writing for a lot of these TV series, but that was such a major one, The Saint. It's, you can describe this, I suppose, as well. It's really a British revenge thriller. Now we give it more the horror tag because it is horrific. The horror is very much there. Now we definitely call this film a horror as well. The revenge theme is very much involved. It's something that we still see filmed nowadays, and this kind of developed through the whole history of film. You can see it, and this is an excellent film at conveying that revenge and dark and bleak. I know people say, "Hey, that's not. That sounds a bit." Yes, well, it is, but it's so well done, and it's very much of the time in the film industry and the way they're filming. The new directors who are trying to reflect that. This is directed by Sidney Hayers. Now, he directed a film called Assault, which Tony sent to me as well. That's from 1971, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that and reviewing it. And you're gonna get that. It's coming. Also directed another important film, which was All Coppers Are. That was from 1972. He also was a TV director. He worked on things like Airwolf in America, T.J. Hooker. He was a director for these. Even going right on, Space Precinct. Yes, the Jerry Anderson Space Precinct. It's a massive career. But he handles the direction superbly. Just so good in this. In terms of actors, we've got James Booth playing Jim Radford. Now, Jim Radford, of course, is one of the key roles in the film, very much so the lead role. And James Booth, what a career he had. All these people you look at and think, wow, the careers. I looked at some of his films he's been in. Zulu, 1964. What a film that is. A great classic British film. He's in. Now, this is a film that I really will get in my collection one day when I get round to it. I think there has been a release. And that is That'll Be the Day, 1974. And I remember going to see that film and absolutely loving it. It's got in it David Essex and Ringo Starr. And it's a brilliant. And then it had, of course, the sequels, which was Stardust with David Essex. But Ringo Starr didn't appear in that, I think, because it was very much like based on the Beatles. But yeah, it's interesting. He directed That'll Be the Day. And his work is just, again, it's another one who also did TV work as well. Then, of course, no introduction whatsoever, Joan Collins. She plays his wife, Carol Radford. She's very much key as well in this film. Joan Collins, she's just great. I love Joan Collins. All this period, she was in some great films and TV series of 60s, 70s period. She's great. I just think she's great. I just watched Joan Collins. I have so much admiration for the work she did, and she came, of course, obviously bigger with Dynasty. But the work she does is just amazing. Yeah, fantastic actress. And then Tom Marshall plays Lee Radford. He's the older son. He apparently, I have not seen this film, was in Killer Moon from 1978, which is considered a cult horror film. I just noticed that in this. That's interesting. He's got sort of an interesting filmography as well. If you look at his TV work as well, theatre, they all have. Then we've got Ray Barrett. He plays Harry, who's like involved in all this, who happens to be a police detective. Yes. He. I think he's a police detective. Yeah, I'm putting down. You don't see him in uniform. I know he's for the police. So we do see the other detectives in this. So, I would say definitely he's the detective. He's in the police anyhow. His film is interesting. Set of films. The Reptile, Hammers, The Reptile from 1966. Great film. Super fantastic. I've reviewed that one going back a while. But then I look, and he is the voice of John Tracy. Yeah, John Tracy in the Thunderbirds, the classic Gerry Anderson Thunderbirds. He plays the voice of John Tracy. Wow, amazing. And then, I always like my Doctor Who connections. He is in the second season story, which I've got on that special collector's set, The Rescue from 1965. There it is. I love all these connections, but there he is. Yeah, he's in these. And then the other actress I'd like to mention is Sinead Cusack. She plays Rose. She's actually married to Jeremy Irons, who's, a big sort of actor. Now, her films are very interesting. She's got such a wonderful career in theatre, films, and TV. But the films that just stood out for me was V for Vendetta, 2005. So this is her later career. And she's in Cronenberg's Eastern Promise, 2007. So, I mean, when I see that, I think, wow, yeah. So her career is very much carried on. Very much so. So what is this film about? What is the premise of the film? The film starts, you can see in a very dark place, the funeral. This family's basically in total grief for losing their daughter, their young daughter, who has been raped and murdered by a paedophile killer, and the police have arrested a suspect. Then he's released, and this is where the story starts to get going. This act has changed them. Grief does that, but the extreme circumstances that this has happened is just something that is tearing them apart. And also their friend, who they know, Harry has also had the same happen to his daughter. So there's that revenge factor very much in there. This is where it all starts and takes off as they descend into more bleaker, dark territory. It's a look really at how all inside of us these things can happen. Ordinary people can end up doing very bad things because they're pushed into that direction. Yeah, it's bleak, and this is very much of that period. You descend into that darkness and hope that your revenge will somehow ease the pain, do something. It's like you've got to do something, because how can you bear losing a child in such awful circumstances? And these paedophiles are there continuing to commit these crimes, getting away with it as you see it, and you want justice. It's a primal, instinctive reaction which we all understand, and it is a very dark area to look at. It's something we don't always like to discuss, but in the British film industry have been discussing these darker areas going right back. I look at something like Peeping Tom from 1960, which was going into the mind of one of these serial killers and looking at the darker side of humanity. And this continued. There's quite a few British films. I think there's one called, I haven't seen this, which I intend to, is it something like Don't Take Sweets from a Stranger, something like that, which I'm going to, I know is an Indicator release. I know that is that kind of area, and this just continued British, in the British film of that period, this darkness, and the 70s very much, we'd seen it as well. It's very interesting the way this developed. But so when you look at this film, you sound, but you kind of with them and understanding their dilemmas, and it's gripping as well. It's really gripping. I suspect some people, I know what people are like nowadays. Say it's a bit slow, they don't want to get on with it. But of course, this is all going on, the dilemmas. You don't just suddenly make these decisions. You know, it's it's eating away at them, and this is what the film feels like. The director brilliantly brings this out, the whole dilemma of all this, and how it basically, it's the revenge is destroying the family. That is what it is about, and they need some kind of justice. They need their own way of dealing with this absolutely horrific thing that has come into their lives and stopped everything and stopped their world. No matter how much they try and get on, they can't. You can't when this kind of thing happens. But there it is. I highly recommend this film. It's moving. It makes you think a lot. And it's so well done. A great film, it really is. So that's my review, and thank you, Tony, for sending this. Fantastic. So if you want to know when I put out these films, or you're new to viewing this, please subscribe, because then I'll let you know when I produce more of these videos. Also, if you like it, please give it a like. It helps with algorithms, gets it so that people hopefully will want to try it out and look at it and think, well, and it all costs note. It's note. It costs note. So you can't say fairer than that nowadays. Also, if you've got any comments about these films, please put the comments. I'd love to read your comments and I'll reply to them. I just like to know what people think about these things. And it's great. And that's all I've got to say, really. So, I'll see thee again.